Welcome to episode 127 of Cocktails in the War Room. I am your host, Mistress Carrie. Thank you so much for joining me each and every Tuesday night at 8:30. We get together right here on my Facebook page. If you miss the episodes or tune in a little bit late, you can always go to my YouTube channel or to the Cocktails in the War Room page of mistresscarrie.com, and you can always check out the full episodes there as well. So thank you guys for joining me. Welcome, Karen and Joe, Keith, Elsa, Mark, Veronica. Thomas is joining us. Jared, David's in there. Alexis. I want to thank you guys all for hanging out. And if there's anybody new to Cocktails in the War Room, and this is your first time, first of all, welcome to the War Room. This is a room in my house that I show off all of my military memorabilia from not only the generations of service in my family, but also my trips overseas. And it's also where the bar is. So back on March 14th of last year, we started getting together because of the pandemic and because my beloved radio station WAF had been sold and taken off the air. And we started meeting here, and this is what we do every Tuesday night now. We did do it every night for 80 nights in a row, and our livers were not happy with us. And then we started doing it every Tuesday night. And so this is what we do now. 8:30 every Tuesday night. There's a lot to talk about. And the first thing you're obviously noticing is that there's two of me tonight. There's Muppet Mistress and then the real one. And the reason why the Muppets are out tonight is because for the last 3 years, a really good friend of mine has had a really good friend of theirs make me Muppets as my Christmas gifts. And because of COVID, this year's Christmas gift was severely delayed, and I just got him. So the first Muppet that I got was Muppet Mistress a few years ago. Then I got Animal with the AAF t-shirt on. This year, where is he? I got Dr. Teeth with a Mistress Carrie shirt on, which is unbelievable. So I wanted to bring him up so that you guys could meet him because the Muppets are growing. And when I built MCHQ, which is the studio where I record the Mistress Carrie podcast and all of the other stuff that I do, I set it up with plenty of seating room for me to be able to interview people in there post-pandemic. Since nobody else is sitting in those seats, the Muppets hang out with me. So I really do look crazy in MCHQ because it's me sitting behind the console with the microphone and then a bunch of Muppets sitting as if they're being interviewed. So just in case you guys think that maybe I've lost it, the answer is yes. So I wanted to introduce you guys to Dr. Teeth because he's my new addition to the little Muppet family that I keep in MCHQ. So Joe says, Carrie's a Muppet. I want to be one too. Seriously. If you go to my Instagram, you can look at the pictures of the Muppets, and I actually tagged the woman that makes them. Her Instagram page is Axe Personified, I think, but I linked it in my Instagram. So you can have custom like Muppets done. That's what she does. And so if you're wanting to give a gift like that, I don't know what they cost because I've gotten all these as gifts over the years, but they're pretty awesome. She puts a lot of work into them. There's a lot of detail. I mean, the Muppet Mistress, she's down to the, hold on, I got to show you. She's down to the cleavage. It's pretty good. The rings, the hair is on point, the headphones. So the detail is awesome. Joe wants to know where Wednesday is. Wednesday's around. I don't know exactly where she is, but she hasn't come running in here yet. But I did bring some toys to try and coax her in here. So we'll get her in here. The now 3-year-old Wednesday, the goth pug, who has been my co-host and sidekick, well, since Cocktails in the War Room started last year. So cheers to the Muppets. Michelle, I agree. I need Beaker. You need the old guys in the balcony, Waldorf and Statler. Yes, absolutely. I want them all. You guys know I have a sickness. You know, on TikTok, there's all those people that are collecting those squishmallows, those big plush toys. And like they have like rooms full of these squishmallows. I just want to have a room full of like life-size Muppets. I just want to have all of them. Which, by the way, if you still haven't listened to the Alice Cooper episode of the podcast yet, hearing him talk about being on the original Muppet Show is, for me, one of the highlights of the Mistress Carrie podcast thus far. So if you haven't checked out the Alice Cooper episode, you definitely got to check it out. Shocked she hasn't destroyed them. I literally just put them out here. So if Wednesday, I'm just warning you guys, if Wednesday comes running in here and tries to attack the Muppets, we're going to have an issue. Because I love my dog, but you don't fuck with the Muppets. It's not happening. Let's see. Cheers, the ducking stingray. Need one made as Wednesday. I know, right? No problem, Lisa. You can be late. It's totally fine. What the hell was that? It sounds just like Bruno Mars' Uptown Funk. It's a hedgehog. It makes really weird noises. It scared the crap out of Wednesday the first time she got it. Grammy bought it for her. She's growing up so fast. Happy belated birthday, Wednesday, from Jackie. Yeah, she turned 3 a couple days ago on the 11th, so on Sunday. So I brought some of her birthday toys in here. She got a new monkey. So we have different squeaker toys. So when Wednesday gets in here, hopefully she'll leave the Muppets alone. So welcome to anybody that's new. I want to talk about this right away just because I feel like not talking about it doesn't make any sense because it's what's going on in my head right now. Tonight in the War Room, there's probably going to be... Are you coming over here? Hold on. Before I can get into a serious conversation. Come here. You heard us talking about you, didn't you? Come here. Come over here. Come on. Here she comes. I'll give you guys a chance to say hi to her before we have the serious conversation. Come here, Wednesday. Hey. Come on. Come on. Say hi to everybody. Say hi. Say hi. Boop, boop. Don't look at those Muppets. Don't do it. No, no, don't you look at those Muppets. You have toys, not Muppets. So the other day for her birthday, she got spoiled, got her favorite cookie. Stop looking at the Muppets. You can't have them. You see that vicious look in her eyes? Yeah, I know. If you're new to the War Room, this is what we do half the time. We just look at Wednesday being adorable and then trying to act tough for 5 minutes, and then she naps for the rest of the show most of the time. All right, all right. She's stronger than she looks, guys. Everybody says hi, Wednesday. Hey, Danielle, it's okay that you're late. Lindsay says, oink, oink, Wednesday, you beautiful girl. Yeah, see? And she, are you, what's this? Here. Bite it by the face. Come say hi to everybody. There you go. Let's see if she goes for the bait. She's just sitting over there looking at me, judging me. There she goes. I don't know what's going on with her. I don't think she approves. All right, so, well, at least you guys got to see Wednesday a little bit. She hasn't really gotten any larger since last week's show. Did she have chicken feet for her birthday? David wants to know. There's no more chicken feet. Those disgusting, slimy chicken feet that she loves so much are just nasty. Scott says, hope all is well. Just got back from shed fishing. Very interesting. Just found out a week ago what happened to WAF. Also, what happened to CCC in Hartford, both Christian stations now. Last show gave me shivers. Tim, you just found out what was going. Yeah, that's what happened. Hello, Trina. Happy belated birthday, Wednesday, says Mike. I made the same noise while masturbating, Scott says. She wants your damn Muppets, Lindsay says. I told you she wasn't going to have them, and she probably, was like, fine, I'm out of here because you're not going to let me eat the Muppets' faces. Okay, so I want to talk to you guys about something really quick, just because I'm heartbroken. And I could not talk about it, but it doesn't really make sense to not talk about it. So as you guys are very well aware by now, 10 years ago this year, actually, this September, I got embedded with members of the 182nd Infantry from the Mass Army National Guard in Afghanistan. And the 10-year anniversary of the AAF to Afghanistan trip is coming up in September. The 15-year anniversary of the Boston to Baghdad trip is also coming up this September. And it's no surprise to anybody, because you guys have heard me tell so many stories here in the War Room, and I've talked extensively, blogged, showed you pictures, and just talked about how important those trips were. And if you missed the podcast episode with producer Mike, who was my AAF to Afghanistan producer, we did a whole podcast episode and couldn't even finish all of the stories of the memories that we had. I mean, the podcast is almost 3 hours long. And when we finished recording it, we were like, we forgot to talk about stuff. So I bring it up because in the 10 years since those guys have come home, I call them my guys. I have for a decade. They have become my family. They've become my brothers. 10 years ago, women weren't allowed in the infantry. So having me around, having producer Mike around, even though he's an Air Force veteran, it was an honor that this group of infantry guys would take us in. And a lot of the guys that we spent our time with were former active duty guys from all the branches of the military who finished up their active duty tours and then decided to continue to serve and join the National Guard. And the platoon that we were embedded with the whole time pretty much was the Qrf Platoon, which is the Quick Reaction Force. And they were made up of, you know, the biggest badasses, the HHC of the 1-8 Deuce. They know who they are. But all of the guys that we spent time with from the Deuce, they were just all amazing. And we became really, really close with all of these guys. And we lost one a couple days ago. And it's not the first time this has happened. Unfortunately, it's happened multiple times in the last 10 years. And everybody's hurting. And if you join me in the War Room every week, this is something that we have talked so much about, that there has been so much loss and so much need for closure. And in the height of the pandemic, families and loved ones were denied that ability for closure, that they couldn't have the big wake. They couldn't go through those cultural rites of passage, the closure that's required, the ritual, because it wasn't safe. And it's still not safe in a lot of ways. And we do a pretty good job of keeping in touch, but life gets in the way for all of us. And the reason why I wanted to talk about it is that it doesn't just have to be battle buddies. It doesn't just have to be friends or your immediate family or your former coworkers. It's whoever your group is. It's so easy to get wound up in your life, taking care of your house, your kids, your wife, your job, family stuff. It's so easy to get to the end of your day and realize there were 4 phone calls you wanted to make. There were so many text messages that you didn't reply to. And you're like, all right, I'll get to it tomorrow. And then your ass gets kicked again by life. And then you realize that it's been weeks or a month and you didn't return that phone call. And one of the other things that we have to talk about is, and again, we've had this conversation a lot in the War Room over the last year plus, is the isolation of everything. And even when we come back from the pandemic, modern life is very isolating anyway. More and more people are going to be working from home. Technology, social media, it allows you to keep in touch with people from a distance. You can keep in touch with somebody for years on social media without being in the same room with them, without being in the same state, without hugging them, without sitting down with them and looking them in the eye and saying, how are you? What's going on? And it's also really hard for some people to understand how difficult this isolation, this reintegration back into life can be for people that have served. And I remember last year when the war room was a daily thing. And every night on the show, I would show you an artifact from the war room. Because if you're new to the war room, there's shelves on the opposite wall that are filled with mementos, tokens, pictures, artifacts, things that I've brought back, things that people have gifted me, my coin collection. There's a lot of stuff on the walls. There's just a ton of stuff. Some of it's very personal to me, which is why I don't just put pictures of the wall up. There are some things that I can't let people see. There's other things I don't want people to see. But the walls are filled with mementos and tokens from people that I love. And I told you a story about one of the things on the wall last year. And I can't get too much into it because I'm not going to be able to handle it. But one of the guys, my friend Mike, he was active duty Marine, was in 2-2 in Fallujah. He received not one, but 2 Purple Hearts for his service in the Marine Corps, and then got out of the Marine Corps and joined the Mass Army National Guard, and then ended up deploying to Afghanistan, which is where I met him. And for anybody that knew Mike, he's hard to explain, hard to describe, definitely rough around the edges. And if you didn't understand him, you may have gotten the wrong idea that he was a total jerk. We've called him asshole to his face, so I'm not saying anything out of turn. But usually the people with the roughest exterior have that exterior to protect the biggest heart. And that was him as well. He's definitely somebody that when the shit hit the fan is the guy that you wanted to look to your right or to your left and see there. And I can tell you that after meeting him, we became really good friends for a really long time. And I have had some really bad days. And he was there for a lot of them. And I had some of the best days of my life. Those days where your stomach literally hurts from laughing. He was there for those. He was there. I'll tell you this quick story because it sums him up perfectly. A bunch of the guys, we started doing the tough ruck together. And he was like, I don't want to do this. This is stupid. I did that enough in the Marine Corps. Like, I don't want to do this tough ruck. We're like, come on, just do it. He was like, okay, fine. So everybody shows up with their rucksacks and everything meticulously packed because it's going to get weighed and you're worried about changing your socks and everybody brought all this gear. And he shows up first thing in the morning to do the tough ruck. And we were weighing our packs, and it had to be, for the military level of the tough ruck, it had to be like 45 pounds. And Mike put 2 25-pound weights, like the metal weights that you would put on a lifting bar, in a backpack that is meant for books. And he put 50 pounds of lead in there and just zipped it up and was like, I don't care about the comfort. This is about suffering. So we're just going to suffer. And on the outside of the backpack, it had this, like a mesh pouch. So you could see what was in the pouch and you could zip it up. It was like an external pocket. And he had Slim Jims, nips, and cigarettes in the pouch. And here's the rest of us, like with energy drinks and hydration stuff and Body Glide and all of this stuff because we didn't want to get blisters. And I had all of this medical stuff in my ruck, beef jerky and changes of socks and bandages and all this stuff. And he just weighed his ruck down with 50 pounds of lead, cigarettes, nips, and some Slim Jims. And we were on the trail, and the Patriots cheerleaders were all there with their little 15-pound little backpacks and their yoga pants. And just imagine when you get a bunch of grunts 15 miles into a ruck, and all of a sudden you come up behind the Patriots cheerleaders, how the conversation steered, right? One of the guys that was on our team literally blew up the porta potty and horrified one of the cheerleaders, because we're all standing there waiting for him to get out of the porta potty. And we're just like, that girl is like waiting, and she's doing the pee dance. And we're like, honey, you're better off going and like peeing in the woods someplace, because you're not going to want to go into that porta potty when our other friend got out of there. Sure enough, our buddy comes out looking like he had this sigh of relief. And he comes out, and the Patriots cheerleader goes in and literally turns around and comes back out and goes, no. So we start passing. Like I said, we're on like mile 15 of the Tough Ruck. We start passing the cheerleaders in this big motley crew of this mob of all of us. And the cheerleaders see Mike's backpack, and they see this see-through mesh pouch on the outside of his backpack that had nips and cigarettes and Slim Jims in it. And one of the girls goes, I want to party with that guy. And all of us just turned around, and we were like, you can't handle that guy. Like, there's no way. There were people that had blisters. There were people that were staggering across the finish line, crying, unable to walk. And here's this hard-nosed Marine with lead in his backpack, with a cigarette in his mouth, gnawing on a Slim Jim, crossing the finish line of a marathon with lead on his back like it was nothing. And the whole time was encouraging the people on his team, including myself, that were having a hard time. Waited for us all, could have gone ahead, could have finished without us, didn't. And Elsa says, I'm dying laughing. Yeah, there's a term in the military that they say, embrace the suck, right? That some of the best times you can have are when you're with the best people in the worst conditions. And you really bond in friendships like that. I can't imagine what it's like for brothers in arms, but the small peek at the life that I got in my trips and the time that I've spent with them afterwards, it really shows you that when the world is at its worst, sometimes these are the people that are at their best. And I bring it up because last year when the War Room was nightly and I was telling you stories about all of the different artifacts, one of the things that I have here in the War Room is now more special than ever, because it was gifted to me a few years ago. And Mike and I were having a pretty serious conversation. Again, like most veterans, he didn't talk very much about the things that he had done or seen, but you just have to look up, the Battle of Fallujah and the 2-2 Marines, the warlords, to see what those guys went through. And he decided that day to just start telling me some stories. And obviously they weren't good stories, and I just sat there and listened. And at one point in the conversation, he got up and left the room, and he came back and he handed me something. And when I opened my hand to see what it was, I was like, absolutely not. I'm not taking this. And he was adamant that I take it. And I was like, there's no way. I don't want this. And he said, it just shows, it means one of the worst days of my life to me. And you're listening to me talk about that, and I want you to have it. And I refused and said, no, I'm not going to take it. And later on I left, and I came home and I looked at my purse, and it was in there, that he had snuck it in there. And I put it on the shelf in the War Room, and it's been here ever since. And I told you guys that story last year without getting personal about it. And I wanted to show it to you guys because this is what he gave me. And this is what he snuck in my purse. And I've had it in the war room ever since. And it's very personal and hard to see and look at right now. And I'm sorry that I'm getting so upset. But things are really hard sometimes, and everybody has their crosses to bear and their demons that they fight. And this is really hard for the people that love him, that wanted to be there for him, and the fact that he's gone. And unfortunately, we're all going to get together, and it's because we're not getting together to celebrate. Unfortunately, more often than not, the only time that we all get together is to say goodbye to one of them. And he was looked up to by so many of the guys that he served with, and everybody is just hurting. And I know that some of the guys, producer Mike is in the war room with us tonight, and I know that some of the other guys are too. And I just couldn't not talk about it tonight because I can't get it out of my head. I'm in shock. And it's just been really hard to think about anything else for the last 24 hours. Especially because the family has asked all of us to go through our pictures so that we can help supply the family with photos. Not only for the slideshow at the services, but also because the family wants to have everything that they can get. I offered to give his Purple Heart back to the family when I spoke to them yesterday, and they refused to take it back and said that I should keep it. And so I just wanted to tell you guys that story because I could not tell you. Because everybody is sitting at home right now waiting for the updates on the services so that we can make plans. And everybody is feeling like we should have been around more. Maybe we could have been better friends, and we could have done more. And it's really hard to lose somebody when you feel like you were as good of a friend as you could be. And still you lose somebody, no matter how hard you try. And unfortunately, these guys, these heroes, these people that I consider my family have had to go through this kind of loss so many times. And if you surround yourself with this type of person, the type of person that answers the call, that runs towards the danger, the EMTs, the firefighters, the police officers, the military, you're not going to have those relationships and not suffer tragic loss. It's impossible. It's why heartbreak hurts so bad when you have a big heart, because when it breaks, it hurts. And it sucks. There's no other way to talk about it. Like, there's no other way to say it. The family is grieving. I don't know. I just want you guys to take the opportunity, especially if you're prior military. Just please promise me that you are going to pick someone that you miss, that you served with, that you worked with years ago, someone that means something to you, that you haven't talked to in a while because life. And before we get to next week's war room, will you guys just shoot that person an unexpected text or an unexpected email. And I don't just mean comment on a Facebook page, because that's kind of like a public thing. I mean direct contact, to call them out of the blue because you were thinking of them and you wanted to say hi. If you could do that, I would love to hear the stories of the conversations that you guys had and the people you connected with next week in the war room, because I know the last conversation that I had, because it was via text and I still have it because I'm crazy and I save everything. So just please, like, say the things, make the calls, say the things, because you might not be able to someday. And it sucks when you can't, as opposed to won't or didn't. So just make the call. Just call somebody that you love, that made you laugh, that is part of one of those memories that people are going to talk about, and you know, long after you're gone, those funny stories that, like, call the people that you went through those stories. I can't tell you guys the number of stories that I have. Service members will be able to understand this. Guys, I don't understand you half the time. But one of the things that we did a few times is a bunch of us went on a road trip to DC, and we would go to DC and go to Arlington and go sightseeing and stuff. And a couple of these guys who were brothers, who were served together, deployed together, best of friends, you go out drinking, guys are stupid. And we were outside in an alley in DC, and these two guys started fighting. Like, they're best friends, and they started fighting and literally punching each other in the face. And I'm the idiot that's like, all right, I need to break this up because they're best friends. And I'm trying to get these guys to stop. They're both prior Marines and an Army. And I'm trying to jump in the middle of them to break up this stupid drunken brawl. I'm like, guys, stop fighting. And of course, I was drunk too. Literally 2 minutes later, they're literally arm in arm at the bar, bleeding from the mouth, laughing about it, eating pizza that they bought at a gas station. And it's those kinds of stories that you just are like, and I don't understand it. I don't think girls are wired that way. If I were friends with someone and she punched me in an alley in DC, the last thing I would be doing is eating gas station pizza with her and buying her a beer at the bar 5 minutes later. But that's how they are together. And those are the stories. Those are the things that you laugh at years later. And those are the things that we're laughing about right now. And by the end of the week, obviously, as soon as we get definitive answers on services and all of that stuff, we'll know when we're all going to get together to be able to tell these stories. But I just wanted to tell that story, guys. I appreciate you listening about it. And I just needed to kind of explain why I'm a little bit out of it and have been a little bit out of it. So I will share, the info and, everything on my Facebook page and stuff once we get more info on everything. This is all still pretty new. So Scott says that's the way true brothers are. Yeah, exactly. It's a guy thing, Will says. Totally. I totally agree. Sometimes you just need to punch someone. May as well be a brother. They may need to punch someone too, says producer Mike. Yeah, exactly. So I'll tell one more story because it involves Mike. We talked about it a little bit in the podcast. So you guys know that I grew up in Leominster, in the Leominster area, Worcester County area. And Mike and I worked together at Entercom. He didn't work for AAF, but he was the only crazy person in the building willing to go to Afghanistan with me. So we became fast friends getting ready to go to Afghanistan. And we get over there, and I only knew one guy or two guys that we were embedding with. One guy, my friend Nick, or our friend Nick, who I met in Iraq, and then the commander of the battalion, I had known for years, just through the radio station and stuff. We get over to Afghanistan, and if you go and look up the Mistress Carrie Cribbs episode that we filmed in Afghanistan, the video's up on YouTube. We walked into that QRF shack on the first day, and producer Mike walked in and literally was like the mayor of the QRF shack. Knew everyone because he grew up in the same area as all of these guys and went to high school with all of them. And then randomly bumps into all these guys he went to high school with in the QRF shack in Kabul, Afghanistan on Camp Phoenix. And I'm looking at Mike like, how the hell do you know everyone here? And so that just made getting to know these guys so much easier because they started swapping all of these stories about like high school and growing up together and stuff. And one of those guys was our friend Mike. And that's how long producer Mike has known him. And so that's what makes it doubly hard is that I only knew him for 10 years, but producer Mike knew the other Mike. It's very confusing. There's too many Mikes, but knew him even longer. And so it's been a day. I was up late last night going through pictures and emailing them to the family and finding these pictures that I haven't seen in a decade. And, it brings everything back. So I apologize for once again. We should have a tote board in the war room of how many times you guys have seen me cry in here. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't scare off any of the new people. It's not usually like this, guys. I'm usually way more fun. Scott says, my best man, who I lost contact for 2 years this winter, once threw me across a bar. It happens. Yeah. Melissa says, producer Mike is the bomb diggity. He is. Yeah, he knew him for 35 years. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, if you guys could send producer Mike some love, it would be much appreciated. And if you guys wouldn't mind raising a glass tonight to our friend Mike, who is a giant pain in the ass, but we loved him anyway. Cheers to him. Okay, we got to get on with the rest of the show. I got to change the subject. I can't talk about it anymore right now. Okay, so let's talk about, do I have any, it's a good thing nobody else is in here because I got boogers and I forgot to bring in a tissue because I didn't think I thought I was going to get through that without crying. I don't know why. That's stupid, but I can't shake anybody's hand. The face police are going to freak out. I'm wiping my face. I got boogers all over the microphone. Okay, let's talk about last week's podcast episode. It was episode 44. Todd Whitener from Blitzkrieg, who is also, of course, from Tantric and Days of the New. He's one of those people that I have not seen in years, haven't talked to in a long time. Getting to reconnect with him, having met him when he was like 18 or 19 years old, when Days of the New first started. It was so good to reconnect with him and hear about the new band. I hope you guys loved the episode. Danielle says, this podcast was awesome. Shannon says, I remember Days of the New and Disturbed at Local Bazooka in 2000. Exactly. He's just a great guy. He's so talented, and obviously things were difficult with Days of the New because, I mean, it's very public what battles Travis Meeks, the lead singer, has been fighting over the years. And so just to hear Todd talk about needing to take time off from the music industry and then, just kind of by happenstance, started putting this project together. And so I really wanted to be able to put the band on your radar and to be able to put Todd on the podcast, because this is one of those bands that, is really having a hard time. They can't tour. They can't do a lot of things to get out in front of people. And so I really wanted to be able to get you guys to listen to the music, check out the podcast episode. If you like it, share it with your friends, because these are the bands that when the tours go back out on the road are going to need us the most. This next generation of rock bands. And he's just such a sweet guy, and he's so talented that I just loved having him on the podcast. So if you haven't listened to it yet, episode 44, Todd Whitener from Blitzkrieg. Of course, this episode and every episode is sponsored by Digital Federal Credit Union at dcu.org, and I am so grateful for their support and their sponsorship of the podcast. This week's episode, speaking of bands that we're trying to help get off the ground, these guys are off the ground and then kind of got grounded a little bit by COVID. Here in the War Room, Mark LaBelle, the lead singer, joined us in the War Room last summer. And now, next Friday, Dirty Honey has their full-length debut album coming out. Their self-titled album. The music you've heard from Dirty Honey before has come from EPs. This is their first full-length album, and it comes out next Friday, the 23rd. And I had a chance to sit down with Mark LaBelle and John Nato. John is the local guy. He grew up here. Family is still in Maine. So when these guys came into the radio station for the first time, and we got to meet him for the first time, he knew so many of the references, and so much of his family was around because this is where they're from. We talked a lot about that first meeting, about those guys scamming for Sox Yankees tickets, going over to visit the Aerosmith house. They talked about the writing of the new record and the effect that COVID had on the album. We talked about some great stuff, and I asked them the songwriting question, which is now my favorite question because I love the answers that the bands are giving me. So, and also the playlist for this episode is awesome. I mean, first of all, you guys know how much I love Dirty Honey's music, but the other music that's in there is fantastic as well. So, Danielle says, I laughed so hard hearing the story of him stalking his new singer. That Danielle's talking about Todd in episode 44. Yeah, it's hilarious. So these guys are so much fun. They were slated to play the WAF Big Gig. There is a very funny part of this week's podcast episode where we talk about the big gig. I'm not going to give it away, but it's really funny. And it could have gotten edited out, but I was like, nope, I'm leaving it all in there. So when you guys hear this episode, it goes live at midnight. I think you guys are going to really enjoy this. So Mark LaBelle and John Nato from Dirty Honey are my guests on the Mistress Carrie podcast this week, episode 45. So definitely check that out. Of course, when you subscribe to the podcast, not only do you get the new episodes every week, you also get the Sit Rep, which is all of your rock news, music headlines, entertainment info. You get it every weekday. I do it in under 5 minutes, so it takes no time at all for you to get caught up with everything. And just like with the full-length episodes, all of the links for everything are in the show notes. So if you hear me talking about something in the Sit Rep that you're super interested in, or you want to go back and look at the story later, maybe you're driving or whatever, just always know that the links for all the stories in the Sit Rep are up on the website. They are underneath every podcast episode so that you can go back and listen to it. The other thing that you get when you subscribe or follow the Mistress Carrie podcast, it's not, you don't pay for it. Subscribe, I think some people think you have to pay for it. No, you just, depending on where you listen to podcasts, you just subscribe to it. So when I upload a new episode, you know about it. Are the after action reports. So when we have a guest like Mark LaBelle from Dirty Honey, or last week when Lejean from Seven Dust joins us, if you want to go back and listen to the episode, but you can't watch it, to rewatch Cocktails in the War Room, I put the interviews up as bonus episodes of the podcast, and we call them after action reports. So those are up there as well. These are all the places and the list. This isn't even all of them of where you can listen to the Mistress Carrie podcast. There's so many, and it's growing. So wherever it is that you listen to podcasts, you're going to be able to find, just search Mistress Carrie. You're going to find it. That's the graphic right there that you need to look for. Click follow, click subscribe. Honored to be part of the Pantheon Podcast Network, which is a group of podcasts that are all about music. Mike Shue's Long May You Young, Neil Young podcast is part of the same network as well. And so depending on what kind of music you like, there's a ton of podcast options in the Pantheon Podcast Network. And I'm honored that they wanted me to be part of it. So here's all the places. And of course, you can always just go to mistresscarrie.com. All the episodes are up there too with a player. You can just hit play and listen to it on your computer while you're working. Exciting news. We hit 101 countries. We want to welcome our friends in Antigua and Barbuda. They have now started listening to the Mistress Carrie podcast. So we're up to 101 countries, which is absolutely amazing. Let's talk about some headlines really quick. Coming up this Friday, the Life of Agony documentary, The Sound of Scars, is going to premiere. The link for that is up on the events calendar at mistresscarrie.com if you want to check out the documentary. There's a bunch of new music coming out on Friday as well. The new album from Escape the Fate, the new Greta Van Fleet, and the new Offspring albums all come out this Friday. They released it today. Dave Grohl and Mick Jagger got together to release a one-off song called Easy Sleazy, which you can listen to now online. I'll keep reminding you about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame fan voting, which is open till the end of the month. Bands like Rage Against the Machine, speaking of Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters, Devo, the New York Dolls, Iron Maiden, Todd Rundgren, and the Go-Go's are all up for induction, with a bunch of other artists as well. These are just the rock artists who I think need more support than anybody else. So that's why I talked to you guys about it. A reminder about the Dirty Honey record, which comes out next Friday. The Black Keys announced today that they have a new record coming out on May 14th called Delta Cream. And it is going to be all blues covers, the songs that inspired the Black Keys. The first single is a John Lee Hooker cover, which if you're in their fan club, you can already get access to it. But the new Black Keys record, which is all blues covers, is coming out on May 14th. The new Rise Against record is coming out on June 4th. And I mentioned the big gig earlier. I'd just like to remind you guys, the details have been updated on the events calendar at mistresscarrie.com. That the WAF big gig has been postponed until next April 30th at the DCU Center. And all of that updated ticket information is up on the events calendar, so you could check it out. I did not have time, I apologize, to go and check the mail. Things have been so crazy over the last couple days that I have not been able to get to the post office. So if you guys sent anything... oh, Eric, you know what? Thank you for the reminder. We put it in the sit rep, but DMX passed away last Friday. It was in the sit rep. We talked about it. He had a heart attack that they attribute to an overdose back on the 3rd and had been in ICU ever since and passed away on Friday. The announcement came like late Friday afternoon. So thank you for the reminder. I wanted to put that in there as well. So if you guys sent anything for Wednesday's birthday or whatever, I'm really sorry. I just have not had time to go and check the mail. I wanted to remind you guys about next Friday, which is our Cocktails in the War Room Volunteer Day at the Massachusetts Military Support Foundation. We're going to be packing Food for Vets boxes. For anybody that doesn't know, the original Cocktails in the War Room t-shirts that we sold last year, this is where the proceeds went. And for anybody that doesn't know what they do, immunocompromised veterans that are in need of food assistance can apply, and they can go and pick up food boxes. Now, these food boxes are packed. They worked with the home base program and the home base program's dietitian. Each one of these boxes is filled with 2 weeks worth of food, 3 meals a day for 2 people, and they are balanced meals. The ingredients that go into this, there's a whole meal plan that goes along with it. They get a box of shelf-stable foods, and then they also get a box of fruits, vegetables, dairy products, that kind of stuff. So we go to the facility and we go through, I mean, you can see in this picture, and that's just part of the facility, which is down next to Gillette Stadium. This is one of the Crafts warehouses, that they've donated the square footage for Food for Vets. And so we're all going to go down there for the second Cocktails in the War Room Volunteer Day. So this is next Friday. go to the events calendar. I put the link up there. You have to register that you're going to come down. We're going to be there all day. You can either register for the morning shift, the afternoon shift. Just get your name on one of the lists and stay for as long as you want. Wear your cocktails in the War Room shirt because we want to get updated pictures. If you don't have one of the shirts, you can order them off the store and I'll get it to you before the volunteer day because they're all in stock right now. So, but if you want to bring people, just, you know, you got to register for everybody. The warehouse is so big, there's no way to not be COVID compliant. We had an absolute blast when we packed these boxes before the holidays. And I know that everybody left feeling such a sense of purpose. And obviously after everything that happened this week too, it just, sometimes when you're having a hard time, it just feels good to do something for somebody else. And this is a great opportunity. I know it's on a weekday and there's a lot of people that just can't get out of work. Do me a favor though, check with your employer and see if they will sponsor some volunteer hours for you. A lot of companies do that and people don't take advantage of it. The people at Mass Military Support Foundation have no problem giving you the documentation that your employer is going to need to prove that you volunteered there that day. I will tell you, it's a big, cold warehouse. We don't know how the weather's going to be, so dress in layers. Masks are required, and I would also bring some gloves. Not only just because of COVID, but the warehouse is dusty, and we're handling pallets of boxes and stuff, so your hands can get dirty. And so just bring some gloves with you. But it's an amazing day. It was so great to see people that have known each other only through the War Room actually get to meet each other in person, even if they were socially distancing. So register. The volunteer day is next Friday, and I hope to see you guys there. Yes, is the information on mistresscarrie.com? Yes. Go to the events calendar on mistresscarrie.com and you will see it all up there for Friday, April 23rd on the calendar. There is a link in the description that takes you to their volunteer page. They use an online service to handle all their volunteerism. And we're going to be at the Foxborough terminal, they call it. So if you have a hard time, just message me through the website. There's a contact button on the website and you can send me a direct message or reach out to somebody else in the War Room that you know. It's really easy to sign up. We just need a head count so that they can be prepared and have enough work for us to be able to do, because we are a machine getting in there. So it's awesome. Want to give you guys an update. These onesies, this should not say coming soon because let me get rid of that. They're here. The Mistress Carrie onesies are in the online store and they are on sale right now. There are two different onesies. There's the top one. Someday I'm going to get it. The top one that says "My Mommy Rocks Like Mistress Carrie" is a great gift for Mother's Day, especially for a new mom. Black onesies, come on, they're just cool anyway. The bottom one says "Made in Lockdown 2020." I don't know about you guys, but I know like 6 people having babies because lockdown. So these, last week I told you they were coming soon. They are now officially on sale in the online store at mistresscarrie.com. And you got to get them. And please, 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 please promise me that when you give them to the people and you put them on the babies, that you send me the pictures, because I cannot wait to see these onesies on these kids. So they're on sale. So just shop at the mistresscarrie.com. I'll also tell you that there's a sale coming up for Mother's Day for everybody. I'm going to be posting that coupon code for everybody. And of course, if you have a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass, you get coupon codes every month. The Backstage Pass you can get on Patreon. We do exclusive live streams once a month. So for everybody that's got Backstage Passes, our live stream is going to be April 25th, which is a Sunday night at 7 o'clock. Your discount code, nope, that's wrong. Damn it. The discount code for everybody with the Backstage Pass, they actually get money off of those onesies. because they're brand new, and the people with the backstage passes always get a little bit of extra treatment. So if you have a backstage pass, you can get the onesies at a discount. And also, you got to join us on April 25th. It's kind of like Cocktails in the War Room, but it's a lot smaller. And we talk about a lot of other stuff that's not music related. It's definitely like a focus group for me. We talk about a lot of other stuff, and I just love getting to know you guys. So if you don't have a backstage pass, you can get one, and use your coupon code. All right. If you are celebrating a birthday today, congratulations. Happy birthday. You're in pretty good company. Al Green, Max Weinberg, Hillel Slovak, and Aaron Lewis were all born on this date. So you got a pretty good rock and roll birthday and music legend birthday. Of course, Max Weinberg is the drummer for the E Street Band. He was also Conan O'Brien's drummer for a long time, and his son is the drummer in Slipknot. You may not have known that. And of course, Hillel Slovak from the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Aaron Lewis from Stained are all celebrating birthdays today. So, Trina, I'm working on the dog clothes. Yes, I'm working on it. Wednesday wants dog clothes. And what Wednesday wants, we all know Wednesday gets. So, April 25th on my calendar. Awesome. Let's see. Last time they brought pizza to us. Yeah, they did. Auntie Angie's coming back, so she'll be there with us. Devil horn update. Yeah, we're working on it. I ordered some stuff with the devil horns. It's back ordered, and as soon as it comes in stock, I will let you know. But we're working on it. I know you guys love that devil horn logo. Want to remind you guys of all the places that you can find me. Keep tabs on me. Whenever I'm making announcements about anything, I always do it on my Twitter at Mistress Carrie, on Instagram, and right here on Facebook, Mistress Carrie WAAF. And then my TikTok, which has been pretty dormant, but I got to start making more videos. I get a lot of people loving Wednesday videos on TikTok. TikTok, Cameo, YouTube, and Patreon are all just at Mistress Carrie if you're looking for me. So, hung out with Mr. Lewis while fishing in November, says Scott. Will says, happy belated birthday to Wednesday. My stepdad's birthday is this Friday, says Elsa. Happy birthday to Donna's brother. Brianna says, yes, Auntie Ange. Yes, Auntie Ange is going to come pack food boxes again with us. So make sure you volunteer. Ralph says, September 18th, Hatebreed, Worcester Palladium, outdoors, 7 p.m. I'm not getting OnlyFans, Scott, you pervert. It's not happening. Rodney says, I'm getting my first vaccine shot tomorrow afternoon in Gardner, getting the Pfizer. Well, there you go, Rodney. So let's just take the needle. Just let's go. Oh, speaking of that, speaking of needles, by the way, Disney announced today that they are loosening their appearance restrictions to work in the parks. Those restrictions have been in place since the 50s, and they are allowing androgynous haircuts, and they are allowing visible tattoos at Disney World now. That's what made me think of it with the needles. Like, they're allowing, you could not work at Disney if you had visible tattoos or if you had like a unisex haircut in some way, shape, or form. And those things are now going to be allowed at Disney. Like, how progressive of them. It's hilarious. So I wanted to tell you guys about that too. So, all right, guys. That's the show for tonight. I appreciate you guys sticking with me through everything. It's been a day. So as a reminder, coming up at midnight tonight, Mark LaBelle and John Nato from Dirty Honey are on episode 45. And of course, you get the sit rep every weekday. And there's news on Disney and a bunch of other stuff in the sit rep that's coming up tomorrow as well. So let me have one more drink with you guys before I go. Okay. I will see you guys next week. Don't forget to volunteer. We'll see you guys next Friday, packing the food boxes for the Food for Vets program. And I know Donna says you still can't dye your hair, though, and work at Disney. I guess I am never going to get on the Muppet Show because Disney owns the Muppets now, and they won't believe me when I tell them that this is real. Oh, well. All right. I'll see you guys next week. I love you guys. Thank you for always being here. Thank you for being the amazing community that you guys have all built, for becoming the family that you are and being so supportive to everybody. And welcome to all of the new people. And don't forget, before the War Room starts every Tuesday night, bring some of your friends in with you as well and let them know what we do every Tuesday night, and bring in some newbies as well. All right. Good night, guys. I'll see you later.